Okay, I'll tell you the first problem on the quiz right now. I'll give you the vertex of the parabola and a point. You got to write the equations. Oh, I don't have my worksheets ready. Okay, luckily, hopefully we should be able to finish everything today. Your quiz is on your desk. Okay, here we go. Linquad 4 first. Number 4. Write the equation of the parabola. Okay, draw. Are you guys drawing the sketch? X-intercept 2 and -1, and the y-intercept 6. So it kind of looks like this. Do we know the vertex? No, we don't know where the vertex. Well, we do know it's like the x-coordinate, but we don't know the y-coordinate. But look, if the x-intercepts are given, then can't you write the equation like this? X plus 1 times x minus 2. Right, because it's in factored form, because the x-intercept is -1 and 2, right? All you have to do is figure out what a is. And how do you do that? Just like the other example we did. Plug in a point that you know right here. 0, 6. If I plug in 0 for x and 6 for y, can I figure out what a is? You bet your sweet poopy you can. So what is that? 1 times -2. So a is, oh man, these are single digit numbers, people. Thank you. So therefore the equation of this parabola is y equals -3 times x plus 1 times x. See, it all depends what information is given. See, the last time we couldn't even talk about that because, see, if you come to class and you think, oh, I'm just going to write all the problems on the board, then that'll leave 2 minutes for a lecture, and then what's going to happen? Maybe we're going to have to limit the amount of questions you ask. Okay, and then can I leave my answer like that? If it doesn't say what form to leave your answer in, you can leave it in any form. Yeah, you can leave it like that, except probably on Monday, quizzes and tests, I tell you what form to leave it in. Number 5, write a quadratic function, that means a parabola, whose minimum value is f of 3 equal -5, which means the point 3 comma -5 is the, if it's the minimum point, what? It's the vertex. And then f of 1 is 2, doesn't that mean the point 1? So this is like the same problem. This is number 1 right there. This is number 1 on Monday's quiz. I tell you the vertex and a point, you better be able to write the equation. So use vertex form. So if you know the vertex, y equal a, x minus 3 squared minus 5. How do I figure out what a is? You plug in the point. If I plug in 1 for x and 2 for y, you get 2 equal 4a minus 5. 4a equals 7. I can do this. You guys got to be able to do this. Y equals 7/4 x minus 3 squared minus 5. There you go. Can you repeat that on Monday? Yeah, but Mr. Park, you didn't say vertex. Well, no, it's the minimum. If I say minimum or maximum point, doesn't that mean the vertex? Oh boy. We're in a heap of trouble. 6. Write the equation. Again, here we go. I told you what the vertex is without actually saying it. It is tangent to the x-axis at the point 4, 0 and has a y-intercept of 6 right there. So, do we know where the vertex is? Yes, right there. 4, 0, because it's tangent. You guys know what tangent means, right? Oh boy. Okay, let's go back to geometry. If you have a circle, this is the tangent line. See how it touches this one point over there? What do you call this line? This is the tangent line, this is Mason.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, if you have Mrs. Gota as a teacher next year, right now you'd be castrated for doing homework from another class. But luckily I don't care, but Mrs. Gota, she cares. She has a lot of rusty knives in her desk. Knives for castration. Takada, what is this? What? Mason, you better come up with this. Or you won't put your homework away if you don't tell me what this line is called. This is called tangent line. This is called the
Secant line.
okay, good. Saved just for now. Anyway, we know the vertex. So y equal a, x minus 4 squared plus 0. How do I figure out a? Plug in the point here, 0, 6. So if I plug in 0 for x and 6 for y, can I figure out what a is? I think you can take it from there, yeah? If you know the vertex of a parabola, it's so easy to write the equation, it's like ridiculous. And then number 7, we're just asking a whole bunch of questions. Are we getting the hang of it? It's like all the same except different. 7. Write a quadratic function with zeros. Now a 0 is the same as an x-intercept, right? Negative 1 and 3. These are the x-intercepts at a maximum value of 8. That means it opens down. Do we know the vertex? The answer is yes, we know the vertex. This is a parabola, people. There's symmetry. If these are the two x-intercepts, doesn't the x coordinate and the vertex occur halfway in between? What's halfway between negative 1 and 3? 1, and the maximum value is 8. So we know the vertex. This is number 1 on Monday's quiz. If you know the vertex. And do we know a point? Yeah, we know 2 points right here. So here's the vertex. Y equal a, x minus 1 squared plus 8. And again, you know what the most common mistake on the first quiz is, the quiz on this every year? They forget to put the square. Because if you don't put the square, it's no longer a parabola, it's a line. Therefore, I have to take off 2 or 3 points just for that. You need a square there to be a parabola. And how do I figure out a? Either plug in this point or that point. Which one you want to plug in? 3, because negative numbers make me queasy. Okay, whatever. So plug in 3 for x and 0 for y to figure out a. You guys can take it from there, right? I think so. See how every problem is the same. You figure out what the vertex is, make the vertex form, and then plug in a point to figure out a. Every problem is the same with different things, different numbers. Okay, so now that's going to be number 1. And then, what is this? Number 7. Did we do 7? We just did 7. And then number 8. Aha. Okay, here we go. How many people got number 8? Come on, 11th graders! Okay, did you guys even read this problem? A baseball player hits a ball, I'm assuming you guys read this. The ball is hit, okay, let's put home plate at the origin here. The ball is hit 1 meter above home plate. And then you guys know in physics, when a ball is hit, it's a projectile. It travels in the shape of a parabola, right? And those of you in chemistry now, I'm telling you now, it travels in the shape of a parabola. Do we know the vertex? The answer is yes, because it says it reaches its highest point 30 meters above a point on the ground that is 60 meters from home plate. So what are the coordinates of this vertex if we put home plate at the origin? 60, 30. So this is the exact same problem as all the other problems we had before. Can I write the equation of this parabola? This is number 1 on the quiz right there. Yes, y equal a, x minus 60 squared plus 30, vertex form. How do I figure out a? You plug in a point. Do we know a point? Yeah, the ball was hit 1 meter above home plate, so that, isn't that 0, 1? So if I plug in 0 for x and 1 for y, you want me to do it? Okay, 1 equal a times 3600 plus 30 A equal negative 29 over 3600. Can I just... Okay, therefore the equation of this parabola is y equal negative 29 over 3600 x minus 60 squared plus 30. This is the equation of the parabola. Now we answer the question. Where's the question? Oh, determine the height of the ball when it reaches the fence. In other words, is this a home run or not? Okay, where is the fence? It's 110 meters from home plate and it's 4 meters high. So here's the fence, it's over here. What are the coordinates of the top of the fence then? 110, comma 4. So how do you determine if this ball is a home run or not? What should I plug into this equation? Plug in 110. If I plug in 110 for x, this is going to tell you the y coordinate of the ball. If the y coordinate is bigger than 4, home run. If not, not a home run. So all you got to do is plug in 110 and then compute what it is. Can you use a calculator though? Because some of you want to use calculator. I don't see an asterisk there. Come on, you don't need a calculator for that. Come on. Here, let me show you. Some of you have computation skills to be fixing. What is 110 minus 60? Squared. 2500 plus 30. The hundreds cancel out. So basically you got negative 29 times 25 all over 36 plus 30. Correct? Okay, how do you simplify this? You know what, let's just save time. Just use your darn calculator. This is the first year. I'll let you use a calculator to compute that number. Does it come out bigger than 4 or smaller than 4? I heard 2 different answers. How about plugging it in on the calculator and see? Do you see how every single problem was the same here? Okay, and then what happened? Okay, what's up? Did you guys? How come number 9? Everybody did number 9.
No, you write 9 on the board.
You want me to write it on the board? Sit down!
I'm on. Oh.
Never mind, I'll just do it. Now, Mr. Rubash tells me he does this problem every single year. Every single year he does this problem. Okay, here's a barn. We're good. Now it sounds familiar. Nobody talks about barns all the time. Okay, you're going to make a rectangular enclosure. Now, you have 3 different kinds of animals. Sheep, pigs, and goats. So you want to separate them like that. Okay, so on the quiz, what if I make 4 different animals, like pigs, sheep, goats, and alligators? But now since I told you 4, I got to make 5 different animals. Sheep, pigs, goats, alligators, and iguanas. Now that I told you 5, I'm going to make 6. Anyway, whatever. This is X. How many feet of fencing do you have available? 120 feet. So if you have 120 feet of fencing available, how should you construct this thing to enclose a maximum amount of area? Right? Because you want your animals to be healthy, right? So you want to... Because of course, if you wanted to, you could make the pen like this. Right? But then they don't really have that much room to run around, right? You want to have a maximum area. Right? So, what does it say to do first? Write the area of the enclosure as a function of x. Okay? What do you want to call this from here to here? Shall we call it y? Okay, therefore, what is the area of this enclosure? Look at this picture. What is the area of the enclosure? It's a rectangle. X times y. But the problem is, it's not a function of only one variable. So we need to substitute for y here. How can I write another equation to substitute for y? What's the only other information given? You have 120 feet of fencing available. So, what can I write? What represents the amount of fence you're using here? Y plus 1, 2, 3, 4. 4x is equal to 120. Now, What about this? Do I have to worry about that? No, that's the barn. You don't need fence there, there's a barn. So solving for y equals 120 minus 4x. Now some of you can just see that just by looking at the picture, but if you can't, then just write that. So therefore, substituting that for y, you get area is equal to x times 120 minus 4x. There you go. And what kind of function is that? What a surprise, it's a quadratic function. That's what we're studying. And B, okay, so find, okay, I changed the problem, and what does it say? Find the value of x so that the area enclosed is a maximum. Now, if I were to graph this function, what would it be? Since it's a quadratic function, it rhymes with parabola. It's a parabola opening down, so there is a place where you have maximum area. And where would that be? The vertex. Okay, let me ask you this. What's the fastest way to find the vertex of this parabola? Multiply it all out and go negative b over 2a? Yeah, you could do that, but what's even faster than that? How can I just look at that and go, the x-coordinate of the vertex is 15? How did I do that? Because look, the thing is in factored form. Look, if it's in factored form, what are the x-intercepts of this parabola? What are the x-intercepts? 0, and what makes this 0? Are you kidding me? 30. So how do I know the vertex is like halfway in between? Exactly, because you have symmetry. It doesn't matter, I don't care how you do it. If you want to multiply it all out and go negative b over 2a, you go get 15. So does that answer the question? Yeah. So if you're constructing this for your pigs, goats, and sheep, you would make this 15, this 15, this 15, this 15, what is y then? This would be 60. And that would be the maximum area that you can make right there. Okay, next one. Next one, a lot of interesting problems. This one is pretty much the same thing over and over and over. Okay, I believe, okay, everybody could do number 1 and number 2, very good. Okay, because that's going to be number 2 on Monday's quiz. I'm going to give you 3 points, just like one, and you got to write the equation of the parabola. Okay, good. Number 3. Maybe I shouldn't tell you everything. You want me to tell you all? You want me to tell you all 5 problems? That's shameless. Hey, last night I was watching Zero Dark 30. You guys ever watch that? Yes. You know they had logic in there? Who saw Zero Dark 30? One person! About catching Osama bin Laden. I can't believe that. That's like one of the best movies that came out last year, wasn't it? Huh? Because there was a point in the movie that the guy said, we don't know what we don't know. And then somebody asked him, what's that? And he said, it's a tautology. Think about it. We don't know what we don't know. It's true every single time, right? It's a tautology. Okay, whatever. Okay, number 3, I want to see how many people got it. Not not one. Mason, how did you do it? You better get that homework on your desk. Your stock is plummeting already. This is Ty and Mason. Your stock is plummeting. You are just barely above 0 already as it is. Stop listening. Just put it away. Stop listening. Okay, I'll just tell you. This problem is on the quiz then. I'll just tell you right now. I was going to say probability 0.9, but I said that last time about those problems there and it didn't matter, yeah? So I just say, yes, the probability is 1. Okay, you have a well. This is a well. Okay, you drop a stone, and then there's water at the bottom of the well, and then the sound travels up, and then you hear it how long later? Where does it say? So, that's a deep well then. So you drop a stone, so you time it, drop it. 4 seconds later, you hear the splash. How deep is the well? Okay, would you agree the time it takes the rock to drop down plus the time it takes sound to travel up is equal to 4 seconds? Okay. Okay, that's how we're gonna start, okay? So here we go. How do you figure out the time it takes the stone to drop? Now, the information to give here, the distance traveled of an object that falls, and you guys in physics know this, right? It's 4.9 t squared, right? You guys are studying this now, aren't you? What is this? What is this 4.9?
It's half times acceleration.
Yeah, it's good, right? Half of 1/2 at squared. Who's in physics now? So you guys know that then, right? Do you guys use acceleration 9.81 meters per second squared? That's half of that then, yeah? But it doesn't, you guys in chemistry, it doesn't matter because I give you the formula. What do you want to call the height of the well? Shall we call it x? Because we don't know that? Okay, so what is x? That's this, the distance that the rock fell. So x equals 4.9 t squared. Can I solve for t?
Got it.
Yes, t squared is equal to x over 4.9. Therefore, t is the square root of x over 4.9. It's actually plus or minus, but time cannot be negative, right? So the time it takes the rock to fall is the square root of x over 4.9, where x is the distance, the length of the well, but we don't know what that is. Everybody see that? Okay, now, can we figure out how long it takes sound to travel up the well? Yes, it says right there, sound travels at 340 meters per second. So all you have to know for that is rate times time equal distance. What is the rate of sound?
340.
I forgot the number. 340. The time we don't know. And what is the distance that the sound traveled? The length of the well, which is x. Oh, so the time that it takes the sound to travel up is x divided by 340. That's this time here. X over 340. So the time it takes the rock to drop plus the time it takes sound to travel up is equal to 4. Now look at this equation. If I didn't let you use a calculator, how would you solve it? First step, isolate the radical. So move that on that side. Square both sides. And what kind of equation would you get? What a surprise, a quadratic equation. That's what we're studying, yeah? However, I am letting you use a calculator now. Yesterday we talked about you can solve any equation on your calculator. Any equation. What do you have to do? Yeah, but what did we say yesterday? First step, make one side 0. And then graph it. So you guys are good enough where you can just do this or, I broke my brand new chalk. Y equals, just punch it in like this, square root of x over 4.9 plus x over 340 minus 4. Because you got to make one side 0. Mason, is this the way you did it? Strike 2. Mason, if you're going to do that, you better be paying attention at the same time too. Did you do it this exact same way? You're dangling by a thread right now. Okay, did we punch this in on a calculator? So TI people, just punch Y equal, punch that in, since most of you didn't do, only one person got it. And Casio people, you gotta go into graph mode and then punch it in. Okay, now, this is the hard part for you guys. You're gonna have to, what are we looking for? What are we looking for? We talked about this yesterday. What are we looking for? We're looking for where the graph crosses the x-axis. So I'm not really sure which way it goes, up or down, but what's going to happen, the graph is going to cross the x-axis. That is the answer right there. But you have to see that on your screen. Now some of you think you can just press the graph button and you can see something. You got to set the window, people. Oh, you don't even have your calculator out. You're on the same boat with Mason. Here's Mason on the boat. And there's Hole. Hole 1 with him. Anybody else want to be on this boat? You guys know how to set the window? TI people, press the window button. And then set the window. And then the Casio people, V window, view window. Is that what it's called? Or view screen. What is it called in the Casio? V window, which is view window. You gotta change it. You can't, because You know, normally, like on TI, if you just press the graph, if you're in Zoom Standard, it just goes from -10 to 10. And if you did that, you're not gonna see anything. You have to see the graph crossing the x-axis. So if I were me, this is what I would do. I would make x min 0, because the length of the well cannot be negative, right? What would I make x max? What would I be? What would I do? That's the key right there. Well, it was 10 and didn't see anything, then the next thing I would try is 100. Try 100. If I still don't see anything, then try 1,000. Go up by factors of 10 or something. Try that. Now do you see it crossing the x-axis? Oh boy. Sam? No! But the length, you should, because look, the length of the well is only 70 point something, so you should see it. If you make x max 100, you should see it. Are you on that boat, Mom?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, what's yours?
There was that one on the Inspire one.
Yeah, but that one was expensive, wasn't it?
I don't know.
You don't know.
No, I don't know how to use it.
It's just the
Yeah?
minimum.
Graph.
And then I can Why is that funny?
That's hilarious. Because your window,
What'd you do? Smooth this?
maybe you could go -2 to 2.
For trees?
Wait, something's wrong here. Did you punch it in exactly as I told you?
Pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure not. No. No. The thing's still going. Second on, you know.
One side here and then.
Well, you did punch it. What's that? Oh gosh! Okay, the first thing you always gotta look at the time. Are we gonna even finish that? You gotta check to see if you punched it in correctly. I walk over there and
It's like too small.
so everybody got this graph now? Calculate the 0 right there. That's the answer. Did everybody get 70.484? So if I changed it, what if on Monday I change that? The time it takes to go down plus the time it takes to go up is 3 seconds. Is that going to throw you off? Well, we'll find out on Monday. Okay, we gotta move on here, people. We're in a heap of trouble, as we always are. Oh, very good. We did number 4. Congratulations. Are you sure everybody did number 4? Because judging from what I've seen so far, number 4, I don't know if all of you did it. So I can walk around right now. If I just find one person that didn't do it, that's it. Then I'm gonna walk around with the grade book. Everybody gets 0 on the homework. Then why isn't it on the board? We just do that so we can see you yelling on the video, Mr. Park. Number 4. Just for that, the probability of this problem being on the quiz just went up to 0.8. Oh gosh. Okay, what is revenue? We want to maximize revenue. So this is just like that problem with the sheep, goats, and pigs we had before. We want to maximize something. Okay, so you need to write a function. And since we're studying quadratic functions, that's what it's going to be, right? Because when you have a quadratic function, that's where you have a maximum. Okay, what are we trying to maximize here? Revenue. Now, what is revenue? It's how much you sell times how much the unit price, right? Now, normally, how many headphones do you sell? 1,000. Some of you just reading this for the first time, yeah? And normally, you charge what? 24. Okay, now watch this. I think I took this problem right out of your book last year. Now, this is what you normally, so normally your revenue is $24,000, but maybe I'll give it more. Okay, so every time you reduce the price by $1, so every increment of $1, that means you can sell 100 more headphones. You guys get that? Every increment of 1 here means you can sell 100 more here. In other words, when x is 1, if you reduce the price by $1, you can sell 100 more. If you reduce it by $2, then this is 200. You get it? Okay, and what? That's a quadratic function, Mr. Park. It opens down, so there's a maximum revenue. So how do you figure out how much you should charge so that you bring in the most amount of money? Well, like I said, this is a parabola. Find the vertex. What's the fastest way to find the vertex here? Multiply it all out and go negative b over 2a. We just talked about this several times today already. No, it's in factored form, people. If it's in factored form, that means you know the x-intercepts. The x-intercepts are negative 10 and 24. The vertex has to occur halfway in between there because of symmetry. What's halfway between negative 10 and 24? Take the average. 7. Where are you guys coming up? What are you doing? Just looking at the answers on the bottom and shouting it out? That's what it sounds like. It's 7. So when x is 7, that's when you're going to make the most amount of money. Okay, but now you got to answer the question. The question says, what price should you charge? This is the price. 24 minus 7 is $17. If you charge $17 per headphone, this is exactly the kind of problem you do in business all the time. We're in a heap of trouble. And number 7's on the board. We got 5 minutes left, people. You guys better decide right now. Okay, is number 8 on the board too? Oh, okay. And why is number 9 on the board? There is no number 9. What are you guys trying to do to me? Okay, we gotta, okay.
Put it before the 5 was established.
Okay, let me talk about number 7. Okay, do we know how to write the equation of the best fit straight line? Yeah, we did that in the previous worksheet. Then now you're just going to write the best fit parabola. You do the same thing. So the first thing you do is you input the points. So what are the points that are given? 1, 0, 2, 1, 3, 3, 5, 2, 8, 10, 1. Every time we come across a new function, I'm going to give you this. Okay, but the problem is, if you plot these points, it doesn't look like it's a straight line. It looks like this. That doesn't look like it lies in a line. It looks like it's a parabola. So you would be a fool to do a best fit straight line for this data, right? So that's why you do a best fit quadratic function. So you input the points just like you did on the best fit straight line, except instead of selecting linear regression, you select quadratic regression. You have to be the smart one. And for those on the TI, is the R value coming up? Because we didn't talk about this but it's in the notes, but I'm sure you didn't read it. Okay, TI people, because the Casio people, the R value comes up on it. This is called the correlation coefficient. Who has TI? Oh, the R value came up. You know what the R is? I just told you, it's the correlation coefficient. The closer it is to 1, then the better fit it is. So if the R coefficient, if the R value is not close to 1, then you really don't want to use it because it's not a good fit. Okay, we got to move on, people. Number 5. How many people got number 5? Is that it? Even though I gave you a hint? Okay, what is the square root of 1 plus the square root of 1 plus the square root of 1 forever? Is it possible to even figure this out? Yes, I gave you the hint. I don't know what this number is. I'm going to call it x. Okay, now, watch this. This is the key part to this whole point. What is x? The square root of 1 plus the square root of 1 plus the square root of 1 forever, correct? What did I just circle? That's x. Because what did I just circle? The square root of 1 plus the square root of 1 plus the square root of 1 forever. That's x. So this equation becomes the square root of 1 plus x equals x. And the reason you can do this is because it goes on forever. If it didn't go on forever, you couldn't do this. Everybody get that? That's the key step right there. So on the quiz, if I change it to a 2, is it going to throw you off? Probably. Okay, how do I solve this equation? We got 2 minutes to solve this. I got a radical, isolated, square both sides. What a surprise, it's a quadratic equation, that's what we're studying. Make one side 0. I can't factor it, so I gotta use the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared over 2a. Box said that's the answer. No, how can this thing here be equal to two different numbers? Look, it's only gonna equal one number, so which one do you think it is? The one with the plus or the one with the minus? Why? Why do you say that? Because sometimes it's the one with the minus. I can easily make a problem where it's the minus one. Because the answer has to be bigger than 1. What's the square root of 1? 1. And then if I add stuff to it, isn't it going to be bigger than 1? Yeah, so we have to pick the number that's bigger than 1, which is that one. And those of you in the know in mathematics, hey, this is a very special number. This is called the golden ratio. If you watch Donald Duck in Mathemagic Land, you would know what that is. That's the ratio of the length to the width of the most beautiful rectangle that you can draw. Plus it comes up in, did you guys ever see that movie or read the book, what's that thing? You know? Yeah, with Tom Hanks, and then in the art building in the Louvre. Da Vinci Code. You guys ever saw that or read the book? They talk about the golden ratio. Okay, we didn't talk about number 8 or 6, so I guess those two problems will not be on the quiz. So somebody better ask that on Monday. What is going on? I thought we were going to finish early today. I thought wrong. Yes, tonight's homework is linquad 6. Now that is a practice test now. And I actually took out problems. So you actually have less problems than all the other PCH classes in the past. Woo! Bye. It's a mess!